Howdy, folks. Welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And today is Higher Minds, not Monday, but Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a good day. Miss Trina's joining us tonight. Thankful for that. I've been telling you, I want to kind of intertwine the female aspect into this because that was something that Agnos seemed to kind of leave out, which is understandable. I mean, he by any means is not, well, really, who is a an expert in this field? Just to be honest with you. So anyway, hopefully we may get him on here one day. But I wanted to bring Trina on with us so we could kind of intertwine the female aspect because she's pretty much got that on lockdown. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to start off talk about a few things here first, and then I'm going to get into the reading. And she's going to kind of follow along with chat. So if you have any questions, make sure you address them towards Trina if you don't mind. And she's going to keep up that. And we're going to try to be more interactive in between these chapters, and get some of these questions answered. I hope y'all do start questioning more. So anyway, should be a good evening. I am going to try to keep it at an hour because sitting here with the blood rushing to my toe, as y'all know, feeling the heartbeat. So I do want to kind of keep it at an hour if we can. So anyway, how's Trina doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, and I love what you're reading because I just think this is what we're here to do. We're here to learn how to drive consciousness. So we're trying to figure this out, and it's going to take both parts of what we are, which is divine masculine and feminine, and I love it. I'm glad I can help, and I'm going to try to keep up with all of you in chat because you guys are fast, and I don't type very fast, but I love you all, and I'm going to say hi to all of you now. But you guys let me know if you have any questions, put it in all caps so I can see it, and I'll make sure we get them addressed as they come.
I love it. Every time we start up, you hear the bells ringing in the background. It's time to chime in. So let's see who we got going here with so far. We got a few going, and then we'll get into a couple of topics I want to discuss. I want a few to get in here before I start running my mouth. So anyway, we'll see who we got with us. There's Mr. David Barry. What's going on, buddy? You might actually make this one. I hope you do. There's Miss Deborah Trudeau. I'd love to get her on here. She sends me a lot of really enlightening emails, and
yeah, she seems like a very enlightened individual.
She's definitely in tune.
Yes, I can tell. It's brilliant.
There's the Sun Rabbit. How you doing? Good to see you. Ooh, lightning. Yeah. It is storming bad here, folks. So if we get cut out tonight, it's because of the storm. Big Al, what's going on, buddy? Hear the thunder?
Yeah.
Dark Truth, what's going on? Huh? Good to see you.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Shannon Kling. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's Miss Tribal 444. She sends some good emails too. I've been getting a lot of good emails here lately, and thankfully I'll get into that here in a minute. But thankfully it's things that are helping along as far as progression and not regression. Mm-hmm. Anyway, David Castle, what's going on, buddy? There's Mr. Scratchy. Good to see you. Jill Jarrett. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Hi, Jill.
There's Trina Phoenix. Rebecca Galactinoff. What's going on? Scotty Boy. Good to see you.
Hi, Scotty Boy.
I'd like to get him on here too. There's Miss Brandy Robinson. Always a pleasure. Robert V, the man, the myth, the legend. Bree Cozy. All right, caught up. We got 22 with us so far. So anyway, kind of want to start off with a few things. I made an announcement last week, and first off, I want to start off by I'm honestly not trying to be a dick here, and sorry for the lack of a better word, but this is a not for kids show. But I ask people not to send me things on what's going on right now with this funk going around because I'm trying to be more mindful of what I let in my reality. And just to be honest with you, with my time and things like that, I preferably I don't want any links sent to me anymore unless it has something to do with the content we're talking about or anything like that. I don't have time. And number two, like I said, I'm trying to be more mindful of what I allow in my reality. I beg each and every one of you to do the same because right now I believe it is our duty to bring the positivity and the light to this community. We can't be focusing on all this bad stuff, even though we know it's going on and it may be affecting your reality. We've got to combat that. We've got to counter it.
Mm-hmm.
So please
Yep.
try to take it upon yourself to, like I said, post music things, anything, but just be positive and be that light when you're out. Well, I know you may not do a lot of shopping out or not, but you know, be the example. Be the freak.
You know what, too? It's like flip the switch. This is like, I keep seeing it's a key for us. It's like to flip everything upside down that they're trying to shoot at us. So now when I start hearing about the crown thing, and it's like, now I'm turning it into, it's a crown activation. It's crown activation. And, I'm using that now. So I'm canceling out the script and putting in my own dream. And I'm saying it's crown activation. Everybody wakes up. Everybody wakes up.
I think that's why it's even named that. I swear, I think that's right now. They're trying to keep this from happening. They're trying to keep everybody in a lower vibration, a lower frequency, and that is why it is 24/7 down our throat, even though the numbers aren't there. This is an agenda, folks.
Yep.
Please, it is our duty to go out there and show love and compassion.
That's it. And every time that's coming into your head, flip it upside down and turn it into something that benefits you and benefits the whole. Super, super easy. Flip the switch. Turn it from a positive, negative charges. Flip those charges around. It's alchemy, guys. This is what we do. We transmute. Hi, puppy.
Yep. Well, howdy.
Yeah, like, I guess it's trying to say hello. Hello, my little boy.
She's so cute.
Hello.
When I was out, actually, some of y'all may know, some of y'all may not, but actually, Trina and I was able to truly manifest a trip for me to Arizona last year. Full, all expenses paid. But anyway, when I was out there, we went to Sedona and stuff. And I woke up one morning, I was laying on the couch and that dog was on my chest.
Yep. It's like, oh, I love you, Brian. We gonna be friends.
Yeah, she's a pretty girl. So anyway, so I guess we got 28 with us now. If you ain't here by now,
thank you.
You'll just have to catch up. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and get into this reading thing here. I guess I need to pull up. Don't need audio. Nope. Figure this thing out. There we go. Oh yeah, and also I just want to make a couple announcements. I do know on Friday night, figured like I said, I'm going to try to keep it lighthearted. So Brian Lunsford's going to be joining me. We're going to do some cards on Friday night. It's been a while since we've done that. So you have to tune in for that. And then of course, Trinity of Truth on Saturday, and then Sunday, I can't remember. So, we'll see. There's Helen Skygazer. Good to see you all the way from England. All right, y'all ready to roll? Let's do this.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss in between, just go ahead and let Trina know in chat and we'll address them in between each chapter. I haven't went through these chapters yet, so I don't know how long they are. That's why I didn't put what chapters we'd be discussing today. But anyway, here we go. Chapter 11. Whatever your experiences, it is all part of the journey. The process of awakening will lead to the state of mind called awareness. Being aware and having more experiences will expand the mind more and lead to illumination. The long-term trend of spiritual growth will advance you to a higher state of spiritual understanding and a higher vibration. Short-term, there may be setbacks, screw-ups, delays, misunderstandings, but we will always eventually come back on the right track again. It's our destiny to come home. Is that not what we just discussed?
Yep.
How weird is that?
Absolutely.
We are told we should be striving for awakening. So then, what is it? I awaken every day, usually in the morning, but that is not the awakening we are talking about here. Spiritual awakening is not bound by any specific procedure, time schedule, qualifying event, or logical steps. You do not even have to be worthy, whatever that is. There are many who have learned the secrets of the universe, but would have made Darth Vader run and hide in shame. There are also several secret societies that have much of the knowledge and teach it to their advanced students and selected worthy ones. Organizations like the Masons, Rosicrucians teach some of it. They have, for the most part, become an exclusive club of elitist thinking judges, lawyers, politicians, bankers, and business people. They use this knowledge in the brotherhood within the order for their own purpose of solidifying power and wealth. In Europe, the Masons can advance all the way to the 92nd degree. In the United States, there are only 33 degrees. There are many secrets between the 33rd degree and 92nd degree. We should wonder what they are. The first glimpse of awakening can come at any time. You will know it by a feeling of consciousness without conscious thought, and usually followed by emotion and excitement in regard to the inspiration or revelation you had. Don't even ask. There is no adequate language to explain it. Phew, ain't that the truth? It is like knowing a brilliant revelation flashing in your mind, and suddenly you know what truth is or what you need to do. You know everything. It does not necessarily last long, but the memory of it will be with you always.
Yes.
If you enjoy reading this book, the preparation for awakening has already started in you, and you will see it more and more. Awareness and thinking are two different things. Awakening gives you access to higher consciousness thinking, which will lead you to awareness. Higher consciousness thinking engages the active creative part of the universal consciousness, which allows you to create and manifest in the physical existence. Well, that was a quick chapter. So
That was brilliant too. And that is such a beautiful truth. And like you were saying, that the divine feminine aspect of that, that's when you bring it into the physical. That's the merging of the feminine part of creation. That's literally the marriage. They're explaining the process of it right there. It's so beautiful. Well stated. Love
like I
it.
said, it's funny. The first few paragraphs were exactly what we were talking about before we started reading
I
the book.
know.
It's funny how that works out.
Our responsibility. Yeah, it's our responsibility to consciously create instead of letting the script create our reality through the televisions and all the stuff we've been fed. It's time to break them all apart and start using our own vision.
Like I was saying, that's why we got to flip the script.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah.
All right, I didn't see any questions. There's Mr. Rick York, and I can't wait to get Rick on here one day. All right, y'all ready to keep on going? Chapter 12?
Yeah.
Let's do it. What is the real power of the subconscious mind? Once we remove the chatter, blocks, and barriers in the conscious and subconscious mind, universal consciousness will supply everything we need, and often much of what we want, if it is for the common good. With what said, exercise discretion. Do you remember the saying, be careful of what you ask for? you just might get it.
Yep.
Thinking of myself, I am sure glad that I did not get some of the things that I asked for back in the early days of my misspent youth. By the way we speak, act, and conduct ourselves, we bring a message to the world for everyone to see. If it is spiritual and higher vibratory supportive message, there will be a spiritual support for the message. If the message is of disharmony and disturbing to the higher vibratory spiritual thought forms, you will have support from the thought forms of the lower vibrations. Yes, there are deeply embedded thought forms of that kind in you also. That is providing that you have not had them transmuted and gotten rid of. And now you may wonder, where in the world are those thought forms coming from? Remember, in your reality, there is only one illusion, and that is yours. Therefore, these thought forms come from inside your mind. This is what witches and mystics over the millennia have told us are all evil demons that can control us and hurt us. And what creates them? You do. And how do you do that? It is really very simple. We do not need quantum physics to explain this one. Your conscious mind just manages any situation, thought, or issue it has been given. It hands over to a long-term memory in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind takes everything at face value as it is told and believes everything to be true. There are things in your environment that sometimes enforce the existence of the lower vibratory thought forms. How many times have you heard someone say, go to hell? Or someone say about someone else, he has gotten rid of his demons yet? Or simply joke about, this guy died and went to hell and the devil met him at the door and said, All these things are enforced in superficial daily conversations without us thinking it to be of any importance and handed over to the long-term memory in the subconscious mind. It does not reason on these things. It takes it for face value. By applying your expressed thought and images together without the wording about hell, devil, demons, and it puts it all together and creates these thought forms or entities. The ego grabs a hold of these thought forms and creates private conversations in your head, images, movies, and your hologram that often turn into physical distractions and obstacles in your life. This is
Yes,
how
that's
most of these
mother. Again, Brian,
that-
that's the perfect mother definition right there. And the father, the blending of it, the thought, and then it turns into illusions in your mind,
Yep.
the images, the talking. That's all the feminine part of you. And that's the part that you got to control, I think, the most.
See, that's why you're here.
It's the part that's getting us, I think, the most.
This is how most of the subconscious mind programs are created, and they stick with you and make your holographic life miserable until you transmute them with love. If the thought forms are strong enough, they can take on a life of their own and become unmanageable. They could become self sustaining and raise havoc or exert influence on the minds of others in your creation. For that, you need higher consciousness thinking and love. That will do it. There is more on this in the last part of the book, part 2. When you break through the creative capacity of universal consciousness, you need no personal knowledge or power because all is provided. The universal consciousness is sometimes called Christ consciousness, although the common interpretation of Christ consciousness gives it more power than it really has by being somewhat more embedded in the illusion. Boom!
Yep.
Bam!
Yep.
Sorry, y'all. That was just a revelation for me.
Isn't that beautiful when that happens?
Yeah.
I love when that happens. That's worth its weight of admission right there. It's like, oh, so worth your ticket right there.
That's still part of the control matrix.
Yes.
Christ consciousness gives it more power than it really has by being somewhat more embedded in the illusion. Christ consciousness is often misinterpreted as the cause and ingenuity of the effects of everything we see in the physical existence and the hologram. The universal consciousness has a wider scope and capacity for creation. We should not be so attached to the effects, but to the true cause of the effects, which is the spiritual. It is an automatic function of the universal consciousness to manifest for us and to maintain the holographic mind, created physical bodies we are using for the moment, as well as our environment and the universe. All we can do is co-create, help, and stay out of the way for free flow of creative universal consciousness. And that's what we've been saying too.
Yeah.
Create, create, create. And that's something I wanted to talk about when, I was talking about the Arizona trip. That shows you the power with 2. I started manifesting on my own, and then you came in with me, and literally in 2 weeks that we manifested that trip. So
Absolutely.
imagine as a group coming together.
Brian, it's mind blowing. Straight up mind blowing. The effects can be mind blowing and measurable. It's so funny too. You said create, 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 and then you scrolled to the number 13. I was like, that was kind of ironic the way that rolled out. There must be something to that.
I've thrown my hands up as far as the synchronicities and stuff here lately. It's just like I'm not even surprised anymore.
I know. I was like, create, create,
Okay.
create. Then 13 jumps up on the screen. I was like, okay, pay attention again.
Right?
Yeah, something's there. Yeah, pay attention. I just heard, pay attention.
All right. Still no questions. Come on, people. What's going
Not
on?
yet.
All right. Well, chapter 13. Found my scroll bar here. All right. We have all been told we have total free will and can do and create anything we want. Well, this concept of free will can get really confusing if we forget what is real and what is the illusion and where we come from. Free will, yes, but maybe not totally within the physical existence. I need to tell you a story and then you can consider the concept again. You may have heard about the out-of-body experiences. There are thousands and thousands of people who have had these experiences, and these experiences are all very much the same in character. There is one story of a man who painted himself into a corner in his life. He saw no way out, so he took an overdose of drugs and intended to end his life. He remembers floating around in the darkness for a while, and then suddenly he saw his body and he knew he did the wrong thing. He saw the other people around him trying to revive him. After a while, he found himself drawn into a round, shiny, brightly lit up tunnel. As he was drifting through the tunnel and approaching the other end, he saw his mother, who had been dead for many years. She approached him, stopped him, and said, "It is not your time. You must go back. You have much more to do. You cannot come here yet." God, that's like, my near deaths. Like, I'm here for something. Here for something.
Melanie too. It's ironic. She had a near-death experience, and her grandmother met her, and she was looking out a window at her grandmother, and her grandmother walked up to that window and slammed it shut and said, "Get out of here. It's not your time yet." Literally.
Wow.
She was like forceful and angry. She was like, "It is not your time. Get out of here." And she slammed that window shut. And Melanie was like, "Whoa." And then she was back in her body.
See, I didn't get none of that. I just literally blacked out, and next thing I know, I woke up in the hospital. So,
Wow. Wow.
All right, anyway, we'll continue here. He reached out for his mother, and he touched her hands. He suddenly found himself back in the body, and he was waking up. He was at the hospital now. Whoa. Back up. This thing's touchy. He was in the hospital now, and they were pumping his stomach. This man made a choice, and it was the wrong one for him. His free will was overruled.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, it is.
His free will was overruled. Remember, I felt my mom do that to me when she prayed me into my body.
And you're talking about your mom's mom.
Yeah, I think she was keeping my grandma stuck, and my grandma was like, as soon as she goes for the shower, I'm out of here.
That's hilarious.
I think it's true.
It very well could be. I mean, it's like when my grandmother passed, she was hanging on a lot. And like the whole time that she was basically, she wasn't really coherent. She was constantly talking to somebody in her dreams or whatnot. And, before she passed, for months, literally, she was seeing these.
Yeah, my grandpa was doing that too, Brian. He was talking to people that weren't there, and Uncle Dave was doing that. I've seen a lot of the older people. And
I think they're truly talking to spirits on the other side.
They're talking to family.
Yeah.
From what I could grasp from them, I'm like, "Who you talking to?" And they would say, "Oh, it's Uncle Joe," or "It's this or that," and it was family. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And they were deceased family member. So I don't know if old people get to have like a glimpse of both realities before they make the transition.
I think they're fading back and forth.
Yeah, I think so, maybe. I don't know how that works, but I think you're right. I do.
I think it's almost like, when we talk about merging these different timelines, when, we remember something on this timeline and it's different on this time. I think it's almost the same feeling of us merging back and forth, which, like the Mandela effect, things like that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. That's right energy with that. I don't know how it's done, but yeah, they're able to bounce back and forth, I think, and it's cool.
It may be because, she had the mind stuff. God, my brain's messed up. Dementia. She had the dementia. So maybe it's because where the dementia kicks in, she's dropped that programming that she's been through all her life. And so she's actually with ease can go back and forth from realities.
You know what, you might be right, because I did notice more of it was coming from the ones who were a little bit less mentally stable. Like my grandfather, he had early stages of dementia. And then Uncle Dave, he had it, and they had dementia. The ones that were given the better stories though were the ones that didn't have it really advanced. Right. So
because there's still a little more clarity.
Cognitive a little bit, yeah. So yeah, it was really amazing though. I would see them talking to the family members and the deceased relatives, and to me that made me comfort. It made me feel really good.
I like having you here with me. I like being able to do this banter because I can't get nobody in the chat room to talk to me. So
okay, Pure Love has a question. I think, are they being prepared for their transition by the ancestors. I believe so, Pure Love.
Yep,
I think
absolutely.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
What else
I
I
remember
know?
one time we got I think it was Pop, and he got mad because he was having a party with the family, like a family reunion, and he was hanging out with his brothers and stuff. Oh, and we woke him up to eat, to feed him. Oh, he was pissed. I was like,
That's
yeah,
it.
sorry.
Rick Yorkin asked, does spirit need a language? How could we speak in spirit language? Through thought. I think it's like telepathy. That's why after I get done reading this, we're going to do the telepathy training. Like I said, there's a method to my madness.
Yes, and I think that's absolutely accurate, Brian. It's through thought. When you think of somebody, it's literally like ringing their vibrational bell,
Yeah.
because we all have a unique vibrational signature. So when you think of somebody and you're connected to them with an emotion, like the emotion is what hits them first, and then they're going to hopefully realize it's from you. But yeah, that's a vibrational signature. When you think of somebody, it's like calling them on the phone. So I think it's definitely more powerful than words.
And here lately, that's been happening a lot. Like, somebody will pop in my mind 5-10 minutes later, I'll get an email, a text, or they'll call or something like that. Just after they popped in my mind, then I'll hear from them. Weird.
Yeah, Candy Apple.
Uh-huh.
Let me see. She says babies are connected also at Milky.
Because they haven't went through the programming yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, and Bree Cozy says, can ancestors trick you into going into a lie after crossing over? I don't know that necessarily might be ancestors, but I do believe entities, yes.
I think those are the reapers. And I think those are like Hotel California, we're programmed to receive. And I think they'll take on whatever image makes you most comfortable. So it could be Jesus, it could be grandma, it could be your mom, it could be your father, it could be anything that makes you feel good. Like for me, send the unicorns and the puppies, came over. So yeah, I got to be careful for all kinds of different stuff, because yeah, they're going to use what you like.
Okay, Rick was talking about where I was talking about my grandmother. I mean, Rick, I'm just gonna, I'm just telling you what I feel and what comes to my mind. But like I was telling, my synchronicities and intuitions has been off the chain lately. But I am not an expert by any means in any field. I'm just telling you my point of view is all I can do.
Yeah.
So,
We're just
howdy,
learning
cheese.
together. Yeah.
Can the entities? Bree Cozy says, can the entities look like ancestors, or they can look like whoever they want to?
I think they can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they can.
That's why I keep
the function of the Reaper, actually, because I think that's why they can convince so many beings, is they come in the most familiar forms that you would trust and love and feel comfort with. I think that's how that's their master key.
Wait a minute, I had something I forgot.
Ruh-roh.
Ancestor. I don't know. It'll come back to me. Let's see. Crystal MacArthur says, was she in her physical or astral? Well, I mean, her body was in the physical, but like I said, I think her mind was going back and forth in the astral. If you're talking about my grandmother, that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's get on with the rest of this chapter. But like I said, I like this because I like being able to talk about things like this.
Yeah. And Deborah, that's spot on. Deborah put a good comment in there. It says, many ways to communicate with someone. If you look at their picture or a note from them, you focus your thoughts in their direction. Bingo. Yep. That's another beautiful way to do it. Yeah.
Like I said, she's definitely in tune. All right. Anyway, here we go. I think we're on 13.
Oh, Robin has a question, Brian. How can we guard ourselves and know what to trust? This is a tough one. Discernment. Yeah. This is where you have to learn discernment.
That was my thought. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, yeah. That's why I have constantly, since even on my other channel, the whole time, that's why another crusade I've been on is trusting in yourself. When you go within, speak with your higher self. Don't go to all these entities and all these whatever. All you need, you've got within. So don't rely on all these entities and things like that. Trust yourself.
Absolutely. And all of us have heard this concept of our higher self, right? The oversoul, the higher self. Go to yourself.
Yes.
There's a higher part of you that you're connected to that you don't remember. I would go to that first. Find self. What's Christ always teaching? Know thyself. You
Yep.
know, it's on the Temple of Delphi. It's know thyself. I think this is the key. And you guys are doing that. So you're so ahead of the game.
That's it. Trust in yourself. You don't need anything else. All right. And like I said, that's where religion threw us off in the first place by telling us, thinking us we need to go out to find
Yes.
what we're looking for. It's all in here.
Bingo.
So anyway, off the soapbox, here we go. Now there are hundreds of similar stories. After reading this, what do you think of free will? Do we actually have free will? All this makes perfect sense to me, knowing what is on the other side of the veil. There is a master plan for our life, and we agree to go through and experience specific things before our present life cycle ends. This man in the story above went and did something contrary to what he had agreed to do before he was born into this present life cycle. You could say he screwed up the program, the master plan he had laid out for himself. I'm told it creates problems on the other side where they have to rearrange the past, present, and future with new timelines of thought. Still, there are ways to avoid some of the things in the master plan by manifesting around it. If we were to go through a specific hardship and learn a specific life lesson, and we learned this lesson in other ways before the time we were scheduled for the hardship, we may avoid the hardship altogether. I know this gets confusing. Why should it be such a big deal if a hologram was terminated prematurely anyway? There is more to it than just one hologram. Your holographic life is intertwined with other holograms you have created. That's the timelines. And it is all part of the big learning program benefiting the soul. Compare it to a play on Broadway in New York City. If one of the actors in the play suddenly walked off the stage and quit, the whole play would collapse. All the plays in the hologram has an indirect spiritual purpose of learning, and for the most was planned out in advance. But you are the planner, and you agreed to all of it before you were born. So there is where free will comes in. All major events in your life was planned and caused to be implemented outside of the physical existence. The planning is done at the soul level, mostly before you were born into your present life cycle. Some of the planning of your life's events can also be done while you're in the physical form, but that planning is done outside of the physical at the soul level. See, that's what we're talking about. Like, I think there's a master plan overall, but you can change those timelines. You can,
You
I think
can,
that's what
and
he's
like I
saying there.
said, I think that's why suicide, it like rocks the holographic field so hard, is because it like a whole bunch of agreements that were made now have to be rerouted through different people to pick up the slack. It's like a total conundrum. And I really saw that when I saw myself planning my incarnation. I literally saw this, and I saw all these different things that happen through these timelines, and it's really crazy. That's why I think it's our biggest job right now, is to connect with our spiritual self, the highest part of ourself, make sure we're on track with our soul's journey, and what it set out for itself to do. Because what I see is we're like a cell in a body, and that body, I think, is the soul construct, which is the manifestation of physicality in essence. And that's why we're a part of everything in existence, because through that expression of form, we're connected to all form. So we have to drive our consciousness now in a responsible way, because we haven't been, because we've been so taught backwards
Yep.
to flip everything to outside of us. So now through this process of going in, we can literally start to drive the holographic reality. And I know part of my soul's journey was to come here to be like the Jesus person, the master way to walk that way, do healing.
The original way,
Yes, the
not what we
original.
were taught.
Yes, not the dead guy on the stick stuff.
Yeah.
The real true Essene teachings, the Christ consciousness teachings, and that included the divine feminine, and that men and women were both equally beautiful and valuable. So there's so much that we're learning through breaking these programs. And right now, boy, we're getting, this is the ultimate test. And it's going to be like, can you guys hold your vibration strong through the chaos? And it's like, we can.
This is just a quick question out of my head. I wonder, you were talking about the suicide and how it disrupts the whole holographic universe that we're projecting. I wonder if my father's suicide would affect mine.
Yes, absolutely. I know it did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
Actually, I
absolutely.
know so.
He broke an agreement. He broke an agreement with you.
I
Yeah.
feel like some of that fell on my shoulders.
I don't think it fell on your shoulders.
Yeah.
You know what you're feeling? Your feeling is his desire for you to forgive him. You're feeling his own grief is
I've
what you're
finally
feeling.
forgiven him.
Yeah, and that's what that is, though. That's that weight of him on you. Because I think we're connected. Even we bypass death. Love is a strong bond.
Yep.
So yeah, I think you're very still connected to the energetic part of your father. And like I said, they say most of the suicide is, that's their deepest regret was doing that. So if they could take it back, if they could tell you they were sorry, all these things help them to heal. But I think until they know that that debt has been fulfilled or forgiven, I really think they're like, you feel the energy, just like when people here grieve over death. It hurts the spirit in the spiritual realm because they feel you connecting to them through thought with all of that pain. So you're literally projecting that pain upon them. So that was profound when I saw that doing therapy with people in grief. I didn't even think about it like that. I was like, oh, I didn't know by crying and grieving over your loved ones that was actually causing them pain. That was profound
Well,
to me.
if that's something weird, like after my father did commit suicide, like I didn't cry at his wedding. I was actually mad. I was still kind of
Yeah.
pissed at him, and
Yes.
and literally it took me years before I cried about it.
Yes. And Brian, that's the first natural reaction of grief is anger. That's very natural response.
But and then I also felt, like what could have I done different? Because like I was supposed to call him the day before it happened. Things like that just go through your head.
Yeah. Robert V asked a question. Why is everyone committing suicide? I don't understand that.
I think it's because all these energies coming in. When I started going through this, I think that's why I tried to dull it with alcohol and drugs and things like that. I didn't understand what was going on, and we actually kind of understand somewhat what we're going through. But these people that don't know what's going on in their mind and their body, I could see it literally driving them crazy.
Yeah. When they don't understand that they're immortal beings and that there truly are as the continuation of existence after this life. Sometimes this life, when it gets heavy, they think, oh, if I pull the plug, it's just sleep time. It's not the way it works. And that's what they're so disappointed when they do this, because they realize, oh, shoot, I didn't get out of anything. Now it's actually amplified on me. So I see why. It's because the hopelessness. This is the common theme in suicide is hopelessness. They cannot see a way out of where they're in. So this is our job, is just to try to bring in that hope and try to shed that light and know, none of us get out alive and none of us get out. We're in a loop right now. So we will get out eventually, but right now we're in this together. So we need to support each other as best as we can.
True. All right, let me finish this chapter real quick.
Okay.
Most planning while you have a physical form are the most adjustments to your program. That could be those instances where you have learned a life lesson without going through a hardship that you were scheduled to have in order to learn that lesson. It's all about the lessons. And he spelled lesson wrong. Then adjustments could be made so you do not need to go through this specific hardship because it is not needed since you did learn the last lesson without it. We all learn from mistakes. I prefer to learn from other people's mistakes, even though I have been very good at making my own. And I have the alligator bites to prove it. We just do not realize that we chose what we're going through by our own free will. Very true.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Chapter 14. Any questions in that little short period? I doubt it. Mary Lynn,
Good so far, yeah.
thank
I'm
you
just
so much
thinking
for
of
always
it.
dropping links and stuff,
That's
Mary.
what I was just doing, Mary. Thank you.
And like I said, please send me which t-shirts you want, what size, before they shut down shipping for that stuff too. So anyway, here we go. Chapter 14. Hopefully this ain't too long of one. Healing is a concept rarely understood. Oh, good. Healing. What is it? Where does it come from? How can it be done? Our spiritual capacity, state of mind, and knowledge makes a big difference for healers. When we go directly to the source to help facilitate a healing, we no longer need rituals. Yes, transfer of energy or metaphysical thought. We graduate to spiritual healing where everything is automatic and we are not the ones doing the healing. We talk about that all the time. You just
Yep.
show them how to do it.
Yep.
Let's see, where was it? Neither ritual. We graduate where everything is automatic and we are not the ones doing it, physically or mentally. We just help them to allow for themselves to remove the error from their physical or mental bodies. And because of our connection as one through the universal consciousness, by us cleaning up and healing the aspect of their error or disease in us, when we do, their connection to the universal consciousness comes through us, since we are the ones who have created their hologram. I know this is hard to swallow. This concept that we created them is difficult to understand because we forget what is real, what the illusion is, and what we are. The fact that we are one with them, we are them, is difficult to come to terms with. Remember, we live in a mind-created universe and nothing in the physical existence is real. There is only one holographic projector and we are the only holographically created images as actors on a stage created by the mind. For healing purposes, we are changing their holograph to include wellness instead of disease. Remember, we are one, and since we are responsible for everything in our life and the person with the illness is in our life, we can do most good by going within ourselves and healing the erroneous thoughts and mind programs within us, which again cause the illness in the other person. This will be explained better later, but the error in others lies within us. We do not even have to know what the error is. The consciousness within knows where the error is and what needs to be done. When you're trying to help with a healing for someone, if you have sympathy or pity for the patient, you may make it worse because you have accepted that illness or error in the physical as being real. Having compassion for the person is good, but not because of the illness or the error of the illusion. Illness is not necessarily mentally, and no mental contact is needed. We can reach into the all universal consciousness and know the correction of the errors done. So be it. Hence, long-term, our long-distance healing. We were just correcting the error in the hologram. Sometimes it may help with a mental contact or conversation with the patient to remove the fears and immediate barriers. The spiritual healer should no longer need to consciously reach and probe the patient and give a healing by removing an ailment, but rather allow for the universal consciousness to correct that imperfection of its own expression of error. After that, the hologram would be restored to its original design and purpose, with the learning experience of the effects of the error still in place. Because the error or illness had a purpose, it was there to create a learning experience. We initiate the process of helping to correct an error or illness in another hologram by going silent and knowing the error is corrected. In order to understand this, we must never forget what is real and what is the illusion. We all create our own universe. They are in it, so we created them too. If we correct the error or illness in ourselves, we will automatically correct it in them also. Spiritual healing is, I guess that's that mirror effect.
Yeah, it's also too, it's the 100 monkey thing and how we train with one another. It's a really beautiful thing. If you're in a restaurant, you see people 6 tables over and they start giggling and then they start laughing and then they start laughing harder. Before you know it, you're laughing too and you don't even know what's funny.
Well, it's like somebody sneezes.
Yes.
Same thing, yeah.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Spiritual healing is basically effortless. It is not so much doing as knowing.
Yes.
You have to know who you are. Know you are infinitely knowledgeable and powerful, spiritual being with no limitations. Let me repeat that. Know that you are infinitely knowledgeable and powerful, spiritual being with no limitations, because you are part of the universal consciousness. You are never separated from God. If anything, you are encompass or do. You must know you are universal, immortal, have unlimited access to knowledge, resources, and creative power. No, the world of the five senses is not your real home, but rather the eternal creation of the universal consciousness. Know how disease or imperfection is caused and what it is. Understand its nature of illusion and that all illusions can be removed by altering its compositions of thought when you understand its reality. No, your physical and other bodies are just an illusionary expression of the thought forms created by your ego and the different minds in unison. This includes you and everything in your environment. All that you do, are, or have, it is all created by the mind. It has taken ill by mind and it can only be corrected by the mind. Yeah.
Yes.
All healing should be carried out for the higher good. You will find that there are some things that will not be healed, yet the higher good has a mind of its own. There may be things you like to have healed or changed, but you are not done with the learning experience from it yet, so it sticks with you for a time longer.
Yeah.
Problems and challenges come and go, but we are the responsible party. This responsibility goes all the way back to the beginning of our existence in linear time. In our present existence, as the saying goes, if you can see it, smell it, taste it, hear it, feel it, throw it in the air and shoot holes in it, you are responsible. We may not be the front person involved in the challenge, but we are always there. It comes to our attention somehow. If we take total responsibility, we also take responsibility for correcting any unwanted situations in our hologram and bringing it back to where there is universal balance. We can start with loving ourselves. And that's a hard one. There's a path, but without love, it will be a long one. Healing your life takes time. Whatever challenges your ego has created and put in your hologram, it is up to you to fix it. You got things out of balance, and it is up to you to get it back in balance. In doing so, you must always be conscious of your thoughts. Always conscious of your thoughts. Keep love in your mind, and thoughts of love or of lower vibration will be blocked. A simple way to do that is just keep saying to yourself, I love you, over and over again with love in your mind. And that's what I start doing in the morning. Those daily affirmations work. You do not have to tell anyone what you're doing this. Make it a private thing just for you. Doing this attracts inspiration and higher consciousness thinking. When you get the inspiration, act on it. It makes you wealthy and happy.
Yes. You know, this is such a profound truth. It's like everything that's going on in your world is because of what is being created within you. And the mind is what's doing this. So it's the mind, but some of these programs are subconscious. So some of them got installed when you were really little and you don't really have an access to them anymore. And these are your keys to freedom. Because when you can find where you've got error codes in your hologram, you can go in and identify them and process them and clear them and reboot your holographic nature from your holographic spiritual template. And I've seen people do this and regenerate their bodies.
I like that.
It's the way it works. You go directly into the holographic nature of yourself and pull out your original codes, because your original hologram, it's literally perfect.
Yep. I mean, we're perfectly flawed.
Yeah. And it's like you do the inner work and you use your imagination. You can imagine yourself as a child traveling into your body and going and look at your organs and you can do like a well check, a health scan on your whole body using your imagination and your inner child. Your inner child, they can tell you a lot about yourself.
What the hell? For some reason I'm logged in under another account.
Whoa!
I was under my Mad Netter account. I said something to Helen in chat, and I was like, "Why the hell is Mad Netter coming
Yes,
up?"
Robert, like the leaves on a tree.
That's my original channel that I don't use anymore. It's the backup. Nobody knows that. All right, well, so y'all want to do one more?
Yeah.
All right, chapter 15 then. Here we go. And this is the only tattoo I have on my body is the Japanese symbol for karma. So, a little food for thought for everyone out there. Here we go. Karma is another thing that seems to pop into our minds sometimes when we are trying to manifest something, and it does not happen as fast as we would want. I have heard people say, I must have bad karma. Have you ever heard anyone say, I have good karma? What is karma? Well, here's a hint. It is an illusion also, but the effects of the illusion can be classified under universal law. As you sow, you will reap. Are you with me? But how can we have physical effects from something that is an illusion? Both karma and the effects of karma are an illusion, but in an illusionary world, the effects appear real because they are the same substance as you. So karma is both real and imagined. It depends on how and where you interact with it. How in the world can karma both be real and imagined? The question almost answered itself. I said, in the world. I like that. What is the world? It is a mind-created illusion. Therefore, we can say that karma is not real. But on a higher level of vibration out of the physical, there has to be balance also. Karma is known by many names. Among them are universal law. What goes around comes around. The law of cause and effect. Or sometimes it can be camouflaged as he got what he deserved. Your experience of any one of those concepts in the physical is only the effects of something. Whenever you manifest something through your mind, there are resultant effects, benefits, or consequences. So the cause for the effect is real, so it makes the concept real. I know the next question, but what if we have forgiveness for sin? Would that upset the universal balance because the effects of the sin are still there? The answer is no. And who forgave you and why? The stronghold the government and religion has on people is rooted in the concept of sin. Yep. And it is funny, but they always become the beneficiary of your sin. Hello. Sin is just a false idea that people have been brainwashed with, and it is pounded into us from the time we are 6 inches tall. Boom! Truth bomb. When you condemn sin, you make it psychologically real. This means that your mind accepts it and it becomes real in your holographic world. Remember where the word sin comes from. It comes from the Greek expression missing the mark, missing the point. It has nothing to do with the so-called wrongdoing. They did not tell you that, huh? That does not mean we can go out and run over nuns and do anything we want to anyone else without having responsibility. The universal law, cause and effect, is still around. There is no such thing as punishment. There are only rewards. When you do good things that create more balance in the universe and induce love in other people's life, you will like the rewards. And that's what we're trying to do here, folks.
Yeah. And think about it too. If we really learn to love ourselves, when we get into those higher realms and they're like, oh, you could have did this better and you could have did that better. We're going to look at them and go, hey man, I did a wonderful job. You haven't been there. Shut up until you go. And we'll have faith in ourselves. So we won't be trapped into these, oh, we know more than you do. And you better do a better job. And you need to go back. We'll be like, no, we don't think so.
It's like I said, I put myself through a rough life, with the drinking and drugs, things like that. But I swear I don't regret none of it. It was all life lessons for me. I have no regrets in life.
Absolutely. It was probably what you signed up for, was to get so lost in this world to see if you would be strong enough to find your way out of it. And bam, snap, bingo, you did it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know that I'd signed up for this again because, God almighty, it's been rough. No, but I would, though. I'd still sign up for it.
Right, but
it was rough, but man, I've had a good time in life too. So.
Yes.
We
were brave. We were brave souls.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
All right, here we go. Back to the book. When you do bad things that create imbalance in the universe and blocks love from yourself or other people's life, you will most likely not like the rewards. Again, all this is played out in your mind, and all we have to do is to engage in truth and forgiveness, and all sin, misdoings, violations, and wrongings will go away. When you forgive someone, who are you forgiving? You're forgiving yourself, since you created the someone in your mind. When you're forgiven by someone, who are you forgiven by? You're forgiven by you, because the forgiveness by that someone was created by the ego portion of your subconscious mind and injected it into your hologram. That's why they always say, when something pisses you off about somebody else, it's something you see in yourself.
Yep.
There's nothing outside of you except the spiritual oneness. What is forgiven gets nullified and transmuted to pure light, and the universal law will install universal balance once again. Most often, the consequences of our actions will hold us back on our path to enlightenment. All we can do is to do the best we can. Remember the saying, there are many paths to the top of the mountain, but there is only one top.
Yep.
There we go. I think we're
That's
going to stop it right there.
beautiful.
Yep.
Chapter 16.
I think that's a good way to stop it.
Wow.
So I hope everything enjoyed. Like I said, I love this format so much better. I like the banner back and forth. I think we can get a lot farther with this.
It's fun too, because we get to, it's just fun. We're learning together. I love story time. I think it's fabulous.
I do recommend people go back and read these chapters again, though.
Yes, this is profound information, and
Yep.
the way it's so condensed and so straight to the point, it's like literally what I've always heard. Keep it simple. This is the most profound teachings, are going to be very easy to understand, process, and digest, and the
Yep.
closest to truth.
Indeed.
Yes, I love this.
As Jules said, do you hate him because he's pieces of you? Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I hope
I
everybody
I love doing this with you guys. And you guys are what makes it so fun.
I mean, literally, this community, I've got my mom and my stepdad, but other than that, this community, this is all I got. I truly, when I say I love y'all, I mean it.
Me too. Yeah, I've got lots of family, but a lot of them aren't awake. So, it's like I can love you guys a little bit bigger because literally, their frequency's a little bit different. They can't vibrate like this. So I could send you guys sometimes more love than I can even in my own family. So
I'll tell you one thing, through what we're going through right now, though, I think a lot of these families that thought you were crazy before are going to start seeing your side a little more and start having a little understanding.
Absolutely. I had a client of mine, and she's like borderline, and she's been trying to wake up, but her matrix, her family and her matrix is really wrapped up pretty tight. And I've been dropping her little hints and little bombs and little stuff and saying, make sure you guys have some extra stuff in your house, and just little hints and little bombs. And the other day she walked up to me and she goes, I can't believe that everything that you said it came true. I said, yeah, I've seen this stuff coming for a while. She was like, I can't believe it. I was like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one friend I do have here is the guy that actually I've been learning how to make moonshine with, Myron.
Mm-hmm.
He said the same thing. He was like, man, I always thought you were this crazy conspiracy guy. And he was like, you were right. He was like, it's all coming to pass now.
All of it. Yeah. And it's freaking them out because they're like everything. And I called my sister because I'm like, I know she has nothing. They eat out every day. I'm like, I know she has no food in her house. So I called her a couple weeks before this all went down. I says, you need to start getting some food now. Thank God I did.
That's the way my aunt is. The one, I go eat with my grandmother for every Friday, or we used to. And the aunt that goes with us, she literally eats out every meal of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is like, she don't know. I don't even know if she knows how to cook, to be honest with you.
I know. And that's why I was like, there's certain people in my family, I know how they live. I'm like, this is going to be hard for you. You better get ready. And they thought I was cuckoo loco. And now they're going, how did you know? I was like, writing's on the wall, guys.
you know, like I said, we're just getting started.
Yes, this is true.
So,
Mhm. Yeah.
Trina, like I said, it's been great. I hope you'll join me again
Of
next
course I
week.
will. I
All right.
love story time, Brian. This is
Well,
fabulous.
we'll be back to Mondays again next week. Like I said, you know, that was one thing I wanted to tell you. I like some of y'all know the toe story. I heard Wayne talking about it today. I
The
didn't
toe
know it.
story.
Well, that was your fault. But Friday when I was backing up to after the show to get out of from under my desk, there was a thumbtack in the floor, and I went and I had socks on. I went to back up, and the thumbtack literally jabbed all the way through my second toe, and
Oh,
I pulled it out, and yeah, it ended up getting infected. I am not going to the hospital though. I will not go. I just got a bad feeling about that, but
yeah.
so I've been boosting up on the vitamin C and echinacea, vitamin D3, and you know, monatomic gold and Epsom salts, and it's doing a little bit better. It's not constant heartbeat right now. Actually, it's doing pretty good right now. I'm surprised, but now when
Yeah,
I go to elevate it again, it'll start boom, boom, boom.
yeah. You
So,
keep
but anyway,
soaking it, you keep drawing that out, and I'm seeing literally, I'm sending you support to draw that out of your little foot. Bye-bye.
but anyway, like I said, last night I had to keep it elevated because I was going to try, and I just went to the bathroom, and during the time going to the bathroom and putting my foot down, I was almost in tears. So I took the
Oh,
day off.
oh, no. Mm-mm,
Yeah. So
mm-mm.
anyway,
Ouch.
have you got anything coming up in the next couple of days that you want to tell anybody about?
I'm still working so far, so I'm just been busy with working and then
What about your
trying to get a
readings?
little preparation going in case that stops, because it might.
When's your next reading coming out in your book?
I want to get back on that. I've literally been so busy
Yeah, I
with
understand.
preparation and just trying to stay live with you and Wayne, and so I'm going to get back on it very soon because I love it. And then I think next there's another book I'm contemplating. I'm stuck between two, but
I
I
got a
love,
couple after this too.
yeah, I love the Ascended Masters stuff because this was literally how I got my imagination going again. That was one of the key parts of my awakening, was starting to tap back into that, the imagination part and the potentials of what we can do as humans. And after I learned about the Ascended Masters, I literally started to have communication with those frequencies. And then shortly after that was when I went to school for natural healing. And that's when I started seeing miracles manifesting in front of me.
For some reason, I've been led to show people the what we're capable of. Everything that's in that I've got coming up is all in expanding our knowledge and our brain functioning. So that's where I'm going to be bringing it from. So I hope y'all like this kind of what we're discussing now, because that's pretty much what I got coming. But like I
Good
said,
stuff.
I'm telling you, this I was going to do this as part of the telepathy training, and I'm glad I didn't now, because I did figure that this would resonate with a lot of people. So I'm glad I didn't. But like I said, the telepathy training, if y'all enjoyed this, then you'll want to sign up for that. Like I said, it's not going to be on a show. It's going to be private. We're going to do a Zoom room. But if y'all like this, then you will definitely want to do the telepathy training. So I've got a good lineup going, and it'll probably last a couple of months, to be honest with you.
So funny, my whole life, Brian, the Lord always told me you came here to be like Jesus, and he'd always show me a group of people. And this, I wonder if this is like the starting of that, because we were connected with one mind, literally.
Well, like I said, you can either fill your YouTube with things like this, and like Trina's readings, or
Mhm.
people
Or
of
doom and
reason.
gloom, right?
Yeah, or people of reason like Wayne, or you can tune into the toxic things that people are putting out with nothing but ego. So
Yeah.
the choice is yours,
I,
folks. But I'm telling you, we need you. We need
we
you now.
do. I was going to say, and you guys all here, you're really powerful. So you guys are the ones that's going to matter the most, that we stay balanced and send each other support and love, because we can do this. And guys, I mean, I hope it never gets to a point like that where we need to manifest magically because there just might not be things available. but sometimes I wonder if that's what we are going to bring to make sure that we understand what we can do. So when things, even if they start to look dark and gloom, look inside yourself and say, wow, I've been called to extreme activation and power.
You know what? Something popped in my mind, and that I'm being led to say is, people in the chat right now, I know a lot of y'all are real chummy with each other and know each other really well. Pick a partner and start working with manifesting things like that. Just start with something simple and work your way up. Because I'm promise you, like I was telling you with this Arizona trip, I wanted to go to Arizona and see Sedona, and I didn't have the money to do it, and we made it happen.
Yeah, we
I didn't pay for
did.
nothing.
And it was the weirdest thing. Who would have thought kitty cat transportation would do it?
Yeah.
You know?
Got to pay
Doesn't take-
$1,000 to take
No,
2 cats to Arizona.
right. And don't leave any expectations of the universe. Let it bring it in for you. Just say, this is what I want. This is what it looks like. And the universe will match that up if you're
and act like you already got it. Act like it's yours and you're just planning for it. You can go ahead and start packing the bags.
It just showed right up. Brian was like, I was like, that's how you do it.
So pick a partner out there and start working with things like this. I promise you, you will amaze yourself. If you believe in yourself and start working with these things, and I'm talking about walking the walk and talking the talk, all of the above, actually doing it, living it, being it, you'll see results.
Absolutely.
So, until Friday night, like I said, we're going to do some cards with Brian Lunsford. Should be a good evening. Always have a good time. Tune in then. Trina, as always, stick with me. I love you, hon. Folks out there,
Love y'all in chat.
I love you all truly from the bottom of my heart. Be the frequency you want to receive, folks. Have a good night.